just let everyone know who is Ceej, like on today. Who are you? And just, yeah, what's your background?
Cool. Well, like you said in the brief, I'm a multifaceted creative.
Yes.
Uh, multifaceted creative, born and raised in Baltimore City. Cliche Baltimore City story, like single parent, single mom, father locked up from the crack epidemic back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's the one thing a lot of people don't know is
Yeah.
that I'm really one of those cliche, I would say, statistics, but I feel like I've kind of broke the statistic at
You
this
did.
point. But
Let's just say that.
yeah, let's just say
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like my upbringing definitely plays a big part in my push and my journey and where the universe is taking me. So as far as multifaceted creative, I'm a computer scientist on paper. That's what I went to school for and got my got my BA in computer science. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm currently scaling my own agency. Just recently, I became an exhibition artist. So I'm taking my digital work into the exhibition world. Um, and a motion designer. I'm a full-time motion designer and lead over at Tidal, Tidal NYC.
Yes, tell us everything. I'm literally like, there's so much.
It's definitely so much, but yeah, if you ask who I am as a person, it's weird. Like I've always been pretty unique and different, compared to my surroundings and where I came from. For the majority of my life in Baltimore, like I've been, I know it's cliche, but I was an outcast. Definitely an outcast, but this is the thing. It's like I had the fortunate benefit of being an outcast, but also being respected. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying. So it's like I was always like the class clown that was I hung with the hood niggas, but I was still smart and you know what I'm saying. I still had my own thought process and I moved at my own beat.
Right.
But yeah, it's just been a blessing to be able to be myself and actually stick to being myself and not ever crack, even though my city kind of didn't glamify like the lane that I was in. So it was weird. It's like Baltimore, like growing up, it was like like the hood shit was more like glorified than being smart. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I never was really like that. Like I don't know. It's like it didn't pay off until later that I stuck to what I believed in and I stayed the outcast or whatever. You know what I'm saying? From simplest to skinny jeans and being in fashion and art. You feel me? No, seriously. Like it was.
No, I do.
Yeah, it was a tough journey for me because we never, I didn't really have any OGs. I didn't really have.
Ask that. I was gonna ask.
Never really had any OGs. You know what I'm saying? I had like an older cousin that was kind of like a bro. Oh yeah, my only child. I had a older cousin that was kind of like a brother to me, but he still was in his own lane. So it was tough. Like I kind of really got here from just trial and error and just being myself and going with what felt good to me. But yeah, my upbringing definitely plays a part into my art and then my passion. Like I got like this continuous chip on my shoulder. Because because I've always felt like I've been like trying to catch up. You know what I'm saying? Like I always felt handicapped.
Yeah.
Like, like you know what I'm saying? I feel like other people had either blueprints or they had parents or mentorship, and it's like I kind of was just thrown into the city, and I had to stay in here and go with my gut instinct. So yeah. In a nutshell, I'm a lover of fashion, music, art. Slightly sports. My ex-college football player, random, that plays into my story as well.
It's your story.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm just at this point in my life, I'm trying to do everything I love and live every day working in passion and surviving and prospering in my passion. So that's where I'm at right now.
So after hearing you, give your spill on who you are, I have like 10 more questions, but
Cool.
Before we even get too further into like more like so like your art and what you do, I want to ask just like with everything going on, how are you keeping your soul prospering? What are you doing that is like feeding you, in a healthy way or just, bringing you joy?
Right. With everything that's going on, like the main solution for me to continue prospering and keeping my soul refreshed
Mm-hmm.
is literally just immersing myself in the things I love and that I'm passionate in.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of learning, a lot of studying, you know, a lot of like research and experimenting. I've also been like meditating. And I'm not even like a deep type of guy. Like I'm really just,
Uh-huh.
you know what I'm saying, chill, but the meditation is key because it's like you got so many moving parts, so many moving pieces. And
Yeah.
like sometimes you just need to be brought back to the center.
I was gonna say it slows you down. Like, yeah.
Exactly. It's like I'm a workaholic, you know what I'm saying? I always feel like I'm missing out
That
on.
chip.
Yeah, that chip I'm telling you, that chip has caused me crazy anxiety. So I have to literally find that peace within myself to, you know, kind of level out and just to be able to sort my thoughts. So meditation has definitely been a thing I've been doing in quarantine and exercising. So
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of indoor HIIT workouts, heavy cardio, trying to stay up and that kind of gives me a brain break, you know, from the anxiety and also, you know, works on my physical health.
Mm-hmm.
So meditation, exercise, and learning, crafting, and just keep trying to better myself every day. So that's been helping greatly. I've done better than I thought I would in this quarantine. Seriously,
For
man.
real.
Seriously.
Well, that's good to hear. Like, I feel like you touching on the meditation part and like the physical health. It's really important. And that's what I was like, when you started off and you're like, you know, studying your craft, that's always needed, especially in the lane that you're in. But
Yeah.
then just taking care of like Ceej, like who are you? Like the human? That yes, that's
I
very
have to remind myself, you know what I'm saying? I'm just lost in the, you know, it can get to a point where the shit stops being fun. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you stress it, it's like, you know, what's the point? So I'm trying to find like that nostalgic happiness, like that 17-year-old me where I was just
yeah.
careless, creative, and not so like I don't know, it's just like super structured,
Yeah.
trying to, you know.
Tell me about like just your teaching. Like, are you self-taught when it comes to what you do now? Or like tell me that journey.
I'm 100% self-taught.
Okay,
Like every,
I didn't want like okay.
even this is the thing. Even the comp sci shit was self-taught, bro. Like
Right?
bro,
Right?
school was so tough. I ended up going to an alternative middle school in
Yeah.
Baltimore City. It was it's called Chinkopin, and it doesn't even exist anymore at this point. That shit was
I was
like
like, okay, yep.
ugly. But anyway, yeah, we had me and my mom had moved over to Northeast Baltimore, and that was like the zone school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like really for like troubled kids, you know. But I happened to just fall into it
In
because
the
that's
zone.
where, you know. But being there, you know, I was a little advanced in math and you know a little bit, you know, on the smarter side.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of enabled me to be able to get like high scores, even though like you know middle school was chill and you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I was still able to
You
kind
stood
of
out.
bullshit. And it's crazy. It's like I stood out even while chilling and being a class clown, and it was kind of like the universe put me in a space where, like, if I would have went to like a Roland Park, like I don't even know if you
If
know I might have even got to Poly. But anyway, so I was going to a middle school and I was playing in the middle school football league, and Poly had came to a practice and recruited me to come play football for Poly.
yeah.
Um, and they were like, you know, you got the math scores, and
I
Poly
was
is a
just about to say that. You got the scores,
yeah,
you got the football skills,
yeah.
like
So they was like, you know, this sounds perfect, and I kind of it was like in Baltimore, it's like 3 schools you choose: Poly, City, Dunbar, and so
mm-hmm.
Poly was like it made sense. So I decided to go there, and there that's kind of where I found myself, found my friends,
Uh-huh.
and I took an engineering track.
Okay.
So Poly was like a engineer prep school for college, and I fell in love with architecture. So
Okay.
that's what I thought, you know, I was gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
And then just fast forward, senior year comes. You know, I'm actually pretty good on the football team. I was getting, you know, recruited and getting looks from colleges,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't like a 5-star, 4-star, whatever. Like I was like a low, you know, just like a Baltimore recruit. And I didn't think I was gonna play. Like I didn't think I was gonna go to college. So I had sent my deposit to Morehouse. I got accepted into Morehouse, and I was gonna go to Morehouse and do architecture. They had like a situation where they didn't have engineering, but they had like a co-op with Georgia Tech.
Okay. Yeah.
I was gonna do architecture through Georgia Tech, and then choose like I don't know another major
Uh-huh.
with Morehouse. And then once I already sent my deposit, Towson they came and called me and one of my teammates to the office and was like, we want to offer y'all a full ride. And that was like it was kind of like I couldn't turn it down, you know. Like my peoples ain't have money, you feel me? Like I was gonna have to pay the house out of pocket. It was just like, what you gonna do? You gonna take this free room and board, and you know, and I wanted to get away from Baltimore too. It was tough, but I just went with it. And with all that being said, like I played football at Towson for 5 years. And I had to. Oh, that was the catch. The catch to Towson was that they didn't have engineering. So this leads into everything else. So Towson didn't have engineering, and it was just like, all right, so what I choose out of these majors that would, you know what I'm saying, make sense for me and what I want to do. So the athletic advisors, they tell you like, listen, football is tough. Like they want you to be the best football player. They don't really care much about, you know, the academic side. So they told me that, you know, a lot of guys and football players, they choose like athletic sports management or
physical therapy,
exactly. And I was just like, that's not what I want to do. You know, I still had that little like, I'm smart. Like I went to Poly, like so he was like, you know, you can start and then change. So he was like, just start with business.
Okay.
Started with business, and I went into accounting class, and I was looking at like just how this shit was set up. I was like, yo, this shit ain't for me. Like this shit is like this ain't for me. Like so it was like one semester where I figured that out quick that I don't want to do this. So I had to really lock in. I'm just like, yo, what can I do that's like aligns with who I am and that could be beneficial? And like I'm 18 years old. I'm like, yo, what's gonna get me bread when I get out of here? You feel me? So I told them, so I was looking and I saw that they had computer science, and I'm just like, like, you know, I like computers, and you know, computers, technology is the future. You feel me? Like I might as well just, you know, see what it's about. And I know math. I feel like I can do it. And the academic advisor was like, that's STEM. You trying to do STEM and play college football? He was like, it's a good chance you ain't gonna make it. And he was like, and it's my job to tell you that you know what I'm saying? Like this is a risk that you're taking to take this on.
How'd you respond? Well, obviously you did it anyway.
It was the arrogant Baltimore, overconfident. You know, it was that I was like, yo, I'm smart. Like, like I'm gonna just, you know, like I'm gonna just figure it out as I go. And to be honest, he was right. It was the most challenging experience of my life. Like with football was like, honestly, it was like going to the army. Like it was like so strict. Like we were treated like soldiers. Like strict regiment. We eat when they tell us to eat. We get punished if we don't. If we're not eating when they tell us to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like like it was like 8 hours a day of football, and then you go home and you only got 3 hours left for school before you have to go to sleep and wake up at 4 a.m. It was crazy.
And thinking about comp sci, hearing that.
Like, bro, computer science is no whore. Like, it's no joke. It's like computer science is no game. Like, it takes like a good majority of your mental power to be able to align with all like the syntax and just the logic behind it. But yeah, I worked my way through it. I was not an A student, you know what I'm saying? And I was a super senior, you know what I'm saying? Just to keep it 100. Right. But I ended up getting through it. So once I finished school, a little bit later after football, graduated. I did like a couple IT jobs in between, but like once I actually like finished, I got an engineering job in Towson. Once I had got into my 9 to 5, my full-time engineering job, I was working there for about 3 years. And throughout that time, it's just like, I was still the same guy, you know, I was still in the art, music, fashion, culture. And that job kind of showed me that 8 hours of my day was going towards not only going towards someone else's dream and goals, like the cliche they say, but it was kind of like I was spending 8 hours of not being myself. Yeah. And I realized how crucial that was to my 24-hour day. So once I started realizing that, it was like, honestly, like my mom and just from the statistics in Baltimore, it's like I made it. You know what I'm saying? I got a degree in STEM. I got an engineering job. You know what I'm saying? It paid me more than even my mom raised me on. So it's like
you went to school before. Okay,
So technically, you know, that was successful, and I could have it's like I was happy about that, and I was living in that and proud. But it got to a point when I was just like, no, like
what else?
This isn't. Yeah, this is not this. I love the fact I'm successful, but this isn't me. Like I was working with not only was I working with the content that I didn't enjoy the content I was working with in the actual field. Like I was working in the trucking industry.
Okay, yeah.
They did like it was like software for truck drivers and shit.
Yeah.
And it was like I had to go in there. It's like I was business casual every day. So now it's like I'm spending 8 hours, 5 days a week dressing business casual when I love fashion. You know what I'm saying? When I
Yeah,
love,
no.
when I, you know. So and then it's like I'm spending 8 hours, 5 days a week on something that's not like outside of financial. It's not, and of course, like I learned stuff about the business. That's like the biggest stuff I took from corporate is learning how to work in that world, learning how to speak and what's expected, and just the process of like the process of commercial
Right.
software design. Like I took a lot from that and project management. But other than that, I just felt like I was losing myself. Like I felt like I spent 3 years of not fully, for real, not fully being myself. So in that time, I was trying to figure out like how, and I know you asked like what pushed me to be, the multifaceted, creative, and it was just wanting to be in that conversation. Like I wanted to have that seat at that creative table, and to have, my perspective and my vision to be, influenced at the creative table. So I just had to I just wanted to figure out a way to get into it. And computer science was a way, like people need websites, you need apps and things like that. But at the time, it was just like, I wanted something that was more instant. It was more instant gratification, which is not always the best thing, but I wanted to have an output that I can directly control and see every step. And with computer science, it's like a long process before you get the end result. It's not like a direct, like, it's not like painting. Painting, you see the process as you're going along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at that time, I was just like, how can I, use what I have and use my abilities to tap into that world? And the first thing that came to mind was Photoshop. It was like, all right, now it's like a digital paintbrush. I can accelerate my output and be expressive more than I can do with code right now. And tap into Photoshop. So I literally started like everyone else. It's like how to make a t-shirt. How to deep edge an image. Like, like when deep edging is when you cut an image out to make it transparent and you can place it on anything.
Did you start like going into like Adobe and Photoshop while you were still at the engineering job?
Exactly. Yes. So during that time, it was like, all right, I'm gonna keep working this. I kind of got into that coast mode where the job wasn't too hard. So it's just like, all right, like during this time, like I need to figure out my escape. Like I was planning my escape from like, for real, like I was planning my escape from like year 2.
Yeah,
like,
I tell everyone, as soon as you realize like this isn't what you want to do, or I just tell everyone, make your exit strategy. I laugh because yes, escape. I think my niceness is like, what's your strategy? But your escape,
that was it. It's like I was trying to like figure out the way to get out of it, and I was just studying every day, just trying to just build that foundation. And honestly, I feel I mastered Photoshop like fairly quickly, and then it got to a point where I kind of felt not only did I feel like it's like, all right, everyone is kind of just tapping into Photoshop and calling themselves a graphic designer. And it's like, not only did I feel capped and kind of like, I felt like I was hitting a creative ceiling with Photoshop, just for me personally. I also felt like the Photoshop lane was kind of diluted and it was saturated. So I was just like, what's that next step of, you know what I mean? What's that next step of adding like that level that separates me from the market? So then another thing, like I spoke on this on IG briefly, but around the time it was like 2016, Instagram had always supported videos, but they didn't kind of do a viewer count. So once I noticed that, I was just like, oh shit, like Instagram this viewer count is another statistic. There's another metric that, that can be, leveraged in business. I'm like, this shit is not just, social media. This is a advertising platform. I was just like, yo, like now that these video views are counted, like motion is about to be a thing. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like motion is about to become a true core visual communication. That how people promote their brands, how they market their business. So once I saw that I was already kind of headed towards motion, but that kind of gave me the, oh nah, like
let me get on this.
Yeah, it gave me a target. It gave me something to work towards. So I started locking in, working towards studying motion. I studied motion design for about, before I started applying it, it was like a month. A month in, I was already executing and putting out output. but like thoroughly, I studied it for about 3 months straight, and then I never turned back. Like it's like I studied. At first, I was kind of like targeting where I wanted to be. It was like I was seeing social content on like Complex and different things like that, where they like highlight different artists and they do like write-ups and editorials. So I was specifically learning like what motion techniques that I need to literally create that output. And that was another thing that I think school taught me, and struggling through computer science taught me. It taught me how to learn and teach myself. You know, it taught me how to
the discipline.
yeah, and then the discipline. But it taught me how to learn specifically what I needed from a subject in order to execute. If you get what I'm saying. So it's like I've studied everything for the foundation, but as far as like I kind of did like, you know, with book reports you read like the first chapter, and you read like a chapter of like you read like a 2 page chapter. That's kind of how learning, you know, the software works. It's like you find the foundation, and then once you get the core things that you need to know to learn to do something, everything after that is execution and trial and error, and that's how you learn exponentially faster. So I started literally. Yeah, I started really targeting motion design. Like I made it a thing to target everything I need to know to be able to get that expression across that I wanted to get across. And then that led to personal projects. You know, I was kind of just throwing shit out there, because that's the one thing that's like the hardest thing to do is to create from nothing. Like to not have any like guidance or like any like, you know what I'm saying? So it started with like just trying to find things I love just to put it out there. And then eventually I ran into Diet Starts Monday. Diet was a launching pad. Like
how did that come about? Like, did they contact, how did they find you? How did y'all get connected?
Yeah. So it's a crazy story. Like so when they opened up Diet, it was like the first day they had like said that they were opening. One of my friends threw it in a group chat, like, yo, like, you know, Diet is opening, like, y'all want to pull up. And I was kind of like, you know, it's like I knew what it was, but I kind of wasn't. I was like, I'm chilling. Like, I don't know if I want to take that trip to DC.
Right,
you know
from Baltimore.
Right. But, you know what I'm saying? But I was interested, but I really wasn't. So I was telling my girl, I was like, you know, like, this is an option. You want to just, you know, go because, you know, some like date, you know, just hanging out shit.
Let's get out.
She was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, we should go, and then I'll drive. And that was all I needed. I was like, oh, you gonna drive me out? Like, we can go for real. So I went out there, and I linked, and it was completely empty. The only people in there was Davin, John Geiger, and it was like a couple of like their associates or whatever. So we went there, and it was kind of awkward, and it was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, like imagine empty Diet on the first day. It's like, you know, this is another thing. So Baltimore we were born into this like introvert type of like mentality where it's like we don't do like new friends. We only fuck with who we know. Like it's kind of like it's a fucked up mentality. It's like it's like fuck the world. Like I don't want no handouts. I don't want to meet you unless you want to meet me. Just to segue into why I'm saying this, because when we went to Diet, I was like, I ain't about to say shit to John Geiger. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know who that. It's like I wasn't, you know. And then, but I knew who John Geiger was. And so my girl was like, I want a picture in front of the Diet sign.
Okay.
And so she sparked in and straight up asked John Geiger to take a picture of us. So once she did that, that kind of like broke that ice.
Yeah.
And he kind of was like, so what's up with y'all? Like, what y'all, you know? And I told him, I was like, yo, like, I asked him, like, yo, I've always been, you know, aware of your work and you know who you are, but it's just like, I don't really, you know what you do. And he was like, I guess you could say I'm a sneaker designer. You know, this is before he started even making his signature shoes or whatever. He was doing like collabs with Nike and different things like that. So he gave me the rundown. He was like, yeah, so Diet is, you know, a brand between me and Davin. Davin, he pointed me over to Davin. He was like, Davin, that's the guy right there. That's the one that's doing all the design work and whatever like that. So I told him, I was like, yeah, like I'm a designer myself, man. I just opened up. It's like, I love the work. He was like, you should talk to him. Like, he's the guy. So I went over to the bench. Davin was sitting on the bench with his laptop or whatever and doing work. And I was like, yo, what's good? Like, you know, John just told me I should talk to you. You know, I'm from Baltimore. Like, I do, you know, motion design and blah, 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 blah. Like, right now, you know, I'm in a space where I'm working engineering full time, but I'm trying to like find an escape. Like I'm trying to get into the, get into this world of, of creative, because I know I got vision and I got talent.
Yeah.
So I showed him some of my work I did, and he was like, "Oh shit!" He was like, "See, a lot of people, want to work with us, but it's like I can already." They was like, "I can already do what they do, but the one thing I can't do is what you do." He's like, "I need that."
Yeah.
Then after that, it was like instant. It was like I recreated the diet neon sign they had and animated it, and that sparked it. And then they gave me, remember I was telling you, like, creating without reasons is the hardest shit ever.
Yeah.
So they kind of started giving me my reasons. They was giving me my target to shoot at. It's like, okay, we got an event, our identity is neon, so let's make a neon advertisement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then that gave me a target to shoot at. And then it was, after that, it was just quiet. It was like everything I had built up, the studies, it just came together. I smashed the first ad they asked me to do. And then I was able to put that on my platform. Exactly. And then it kind of like, oh shit, you made this. And it just became like a snowball. Like I started doing more with them. And then they started having those reasons kind of inspired my other reasons for personal work.
Yeah.
And then it literally just built from there. Like that was like when it was like, okay, I am, a motion designer.
Yeah.
Like, this is,
and this is what I can do. And like what you said, outside of your personal projects. Yeah.
Right. It was like,
for the timeline real quick, when was like that project? Like when was that?
That was like early 2016. Okay. I was probably only, when I did that, the project for Diet, I was probably only like, I was probably 3 months in studying motion design.
I was wondering, okay, that's what I was wondering, like where were Ceej at? Okay.
I was only doing this shit for 3 months, and that's kind of when I realized like my vision held a lot of weight. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people have skill, but it's like the vision, the sauce, the style, like that's like, and the execution, like that's important. That's when I realized like, all right, this is a gift. I'm able to do this, you know what I'm saying? Pick this up so quickly and it's so good. Like that was a gift. I think motion design at this point is kind of like I put some thought into it. Like I would call it a melodic visual communication.
Okay.
And expression. That's what I would call it, and that's how I use it. You know what I mean? Like I told you, when I was doing just still design in Photoshop, like I felt like it wasn't expressing what I had to say.
You couldn't get the full thought out. It wasn't. Yeah.
It was like I needed shit to move. Like I just needed shit to move. So I think it literally is melodic visual communication. And I think and I think it's also timeless. Like I think motion is like a timeless thing. Like with advertisement, I feel like this is gonna be a new way of communicating. And it's always been a way of communicating, but I think it's gonna be more of a foundation.
Like, and you're at the start of it. Like not at the start, like it's been something people have been picking up, but I like just hearing the timeline with you in regards to motion design. Like you started kind of years ago, because I feel like you definitely can speak on this more. But even within the past year, I feel like brands and stuff are picking up on how they need motion design, stuff like that. Yeah. And
then it's funny that you say that about like brands picking it up. It's like when I manifested in 2016, that's kind of like what led to Tidal. So Tidal, my position didn't even exist yet.
Yeah.
Like I'm the first of my position at that office, and the need wasn't necessary until like last year. Now it's great because we can go back into our timeline with engineering job. So I'm on like the later half. I'm on like year 3 at this point with the engineering job of my, trying to plan my escape.
Yeah.
During that time,
wait, you saying that? So even like you've been I'm sorry, I just made the connection too. Like even with Diet Starts Monday, you were still at your job.
Yeah, I was still working full time. Business casual, trash.
At night, what is it like? At day, you're like Charles Johnson probably. At night, Ceej the artist. Okay.
The thing, it was not enough time to Ceej the artist, and I was starting to lose I'm telling you, this was like around 2018. I was starting to get to my boiling point. Like, all right, like I'm bringing in my own clients. Like I'm starting to, have that real belief in myself and the creative confidence.
And you got the work too. Because you have the confidence, but I feel like it fucks people up when there's no work coming in. So you had everything.
So I was on my way out, and then literally the universe, it forced me out. I got laid off.
Oh.
Yeah. So it
Oh.
was like, yeah. So in 2018, a company like an umbrella company had bought the software company I was working for,
Mm-hmm.
and they laid me off. So
Mm.
it kind of was like I didn't have to wait for that right time anymore. And who knows, like it could have been like another year while I was bluffing and you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying, and waiting. And so it was like the universe like forced me out.
Yeah, no,
So
that's interesting because I definitely was waiting for you to be like, I quit or whatever. So yeah,
hell no, no, that's how like I'm a firm believer in the universe. Like that's how that
yeah.
shit works. Like it humbled me,
Mhm.
even though I didn't want to be there. I was just like, oh,
It was
you
your comfort spot.
motherfuckers. You motherfuckers, you know, like I was offended, you know what I'm saying? I was a little, you know, hurt about it but at the same time I was just like, this is it, you know, it's time for me to go full blown, you know. And oh yeah, and at that point I already determined like that I wanted to make an agency. Like I wanted to scale my own agency because I realized a long time ago like I want to do too much, you know?
Yeah, and
Like, I
you
want to do way too much just to box myself in the way where I can touch everything and create opportunities and work on multiple, you know, types of work is to have a agency. Once I got laid off, that was the push to be like, all right, nah, like this is, I need my own. And clearly I need my own because ain't nobody cares about you out here. They're gonna let you go,
right,
let you go.
right. No.
So for real, like I put myself in this space, like, all right, I'm just jumping out there. Like I'm doing this full. I'm gonna live off my, you know, my client base that I got and try to build more clients. And I also took the jump. It's like my fiance. I'm also engaged.
Same.
She,
Is it the same shorty from
yeah,
Diet?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Shout
So
out to her though.
right. No, she played a huge part. So she ended up getting an opportunity in New York like
Oh,
way beforehand. So
okay.
she was working as a producer at a studio in Baltimore for Under Armour, and then
Okay.
she had got transferred over to New York. So she had already moved.
Okay.
And the plan was always you know what I'm saying, like
Mhm.
to go to New York anyway, because I felt like that was going to be a bigger platform.
Right.
Once I got laid off, I just left.
You
I
was
just went to New
yes.
York on a limb,
Uh-huh.
and you know what's crazy? I got to tell you the real title story. I feel like people deserve to hear the real.
Yes. Give us
Uh,
give us the real.
so while I was working, you know, building my personal brand and personal business, like I took the jump to New York, and she had already had like was already living out there. She had roommates,
Established.
so I would go out there and you know visit back and forth from Baltimore to New York, still working. But the goal was to once her lease was up, you know, we would you know jump out here and get our own you know crib together or whatever.
Okay.
So during that time, I was laid off. I had like a severance package, I had like a bonus, and I had unemployment. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy how crazy unemployment is right now. It's so crucial. But I've been
You
busy.
saw the difference.
Been busy. So I was doing the unemployment thing, and it's just so sick how the world works. Like I was doing the unemployment with no intention of ever working, but they require you to apply to 3 jobs every week
Okay.
in order to like get your
Mm-hmm.
to qualify, right? So I was doing that every week, just applying to 3 jobs every week just to get the check because I had no intention of working. I'm like, I'm never
Right.
gonna work again. Like,
And you had to do it every week. I didn't know that.
yes, it's
Oh,
3 jobs a week.
okay.
So you're right, and you have to file every week to get the check every week. So I was just literally doing that because it'll be a fool of me to not take the money I'm owed from my company. You know what I mean? So I was running that up, just like I'm gonna run it up until it ends. And
Yeah.
it's crazy like the last week, like it was like the last money that they were gonna give me. It was the last week. I had 3 last jobs to apply to, and this is at the time where I was taking my leap, and we were apartment shopping and everything, like
Okay.
no job, like
Okay.
no job.
Yes.
And then I actually signed the lease at that time with no job, no just freelance, like you know what I'm saying, the
Uh-huh.
unemployment. And it was the final week, and I was just looking at available jobs like on Indeed, and it was like Change.org. Tidal had popped up, and there was like some other random, like I would always do like a random recruiting agency. They're always looking. So
Mhm.
applied to Tidal, and then I think it was like I applied the Tidal on like over the weekend. It was like a Sunday because I always waited till the last minute to put my shit in, right? So it was like you had to do it by Sunday. It was like Sunday applied the title. Tuesday I checked my emails, saw my email, and thought that like I saw a title email, and I thought it was a rejection because I'm so used to
Yes,
getting rejected.
getting those.
You
Me
get
too.
those, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So Thursday, so time goes by. That was Monday or Tuesday when I saw that. Literally disregarded it. I was like, I'm not trying to work. I'm focused on my shit. I actually was working on my own projects at the time. Like I was actually like working on commissions. So Thursday came that week where I had like time to check my email, and I look at my email and I looked at the title joint, and it's literally the marketing director saying that she wanted to interview me Thursday, and I'm like, fuck. That day I opened, that day I opened the email was the day that she wanted to schedule my interview. So I'm just like, fuck, like I hit her up so fast. I'm like, I'm sorry. But I told her like, Lord, if she see this, Lord, forgive me. But I had to do. I told her that it went to spam. Like I was like, I had to do it. Like I told her that it went to spam. I was like, nah, like I need this interview ASAP, whatever.
Yes.
She was like, cool, like just she was like, cool, we can schedule it for Monday.
Okay.
So from the grace of God, got the interview, did it Monday, and it was directly with my current boss right now. She's the marketing director of Tidal and Rock Nation.
Okay.
And like that's like my man's. But anyway, it was like the perfect chemical, like it was just perfect. The chemistry. It was like they're looking for somebody who understands the culture, who's in the culture, who also has the skill set. And like I was just nailing it, everything on the head. I did about 3 more interviews, like one with the design, the head of design in Oslo, and then I had an in-office joint where I kind of met the team, and I think this was kind of like it was like the shining moment. I was at that time I was already working with like augmented reality, so I was building an augmented reality app that would place my logo, like a giant version of my logo anywhere.
I feel like I knew that. If you go on his Instagram, you can see that visual timeline too.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Yeah. As soon as you said your logo, I pictured it like up in the sky.
So yeah, like I was already working on that, and I was just like, you know what, I want to seal this shit. Like, so I quickly modeled before my interview in person. I quickly modeled the Tidal logo in 3D, and I swapped it with mine. So I already had like the software on deck. So I swapped it out. I went into the interview, did my little spiel, and went over my work. And I was like, I got something I want to show y'all.
Yes.
And I think I screenplayed my phone. It was like a meeting room where they had like TVs. I put it up on the TV, and literally I had the logo floating over their heads in the office. Like, it was crazy. And it was like, nah. Like after that, it was like.
That was like, what were the reactions? Like, obviously you got the job and it was good, but when you did that,
they were blown away. Like, my boss is like, see, this is that shit that we looking for. Like, this is that, like, yo, this is that next level, shit, like for real. And that set the tone for everything. Like, Tidal has been like, it changed my life, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, yes, like literally knowing your journey and then getting there, self-taught. Like you were already working. Like no, yes.
just to give a little bit of more about Tidal, like just in the contrast from the story of like where I came from, it was literally night and day. It was like I get to go in there, I get to wear what I want every day. Like literally you can wear anything unless that's not offensive. Right. So it's like I could 100% be myself. I could talk like myself. You feel me? Like I ain't had the white voice. Like with the software engineering journey, I was every day. And for me, that I'm telling you, coming from where I'm from and my accent and just you know what I'm saying, like that shit was hard. Like talking about technology and not wanting to sound like an idiot while they're literally judging and waiting for you to fuck up every day. Like I had to publicly speak every day.
Yes.
For real, we had like these engineering stand-ups where you had to stand up and talk about what you were doing today, what you did yesterday. Like, and it was crazy. And the Tidal, I come in there, it's like high school. Like it was just like I'm coming dressed as myself. I'm coming there to be myself. There's no stress. Like it's fucking music blasting.
Right.
Like every day. It's like, it's different artists, A-list to C-list every day.
Yeah.
coming through there. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting to meet so many people. Like that shit it's the perfect balance and the perfect match for who I was. Like, and at that point, it's like now I'm not putting that 8 hours towards some shit that I don't like. It's like I'm really in here not only living and being myself. Like I'm actually making income. I'm actually crafting and working the muscle that is gonna help me prosper outside the Tidal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was just the Tidal was definitely like that was it. That was the seat at the table. I mean, even though the seat kind of already was developing on its own, that was like the official, like, nah, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
What you said though, I feel like it's really an important thing. Like when you got that, it was like a cat or just like a milestone. Like you said, you get paid to do this. It's within your art. Like you're not Charles Johnson at the engineering firm. You're Ceej. Like, and you get like, yes, boy, yes. Like, so wait, on your timeline. So 2018 left engineering. When did Tidal come? 2000.
Tidal came. I started at Tidal September 3rd, 2019.
Okay.
So I ain't even make it a whole year without, you know what I'm saying? It was like the universe is fucking crazy.
Yeah, sometimes you'll be like, why is this? You can question it, but it's usually.
It's like I just let that shit flow, and I just have to be prepared and reactive for what it brings. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like you can't control it, but you can kind of guide it.
Yes.
Not yourself.
Yes.
I think my favorite project with Tidal is probably it's between two. Like I did a campaign for we had like this campaign with we got investors. We have investors who invested into, I think it was around like 5 local artists in Detroit. And the goal was to kind of invest in their career, trying to help push them and make them like Tidal bred artists. Okay. So I did a full identity and execution for that campaign. That was like the second week I was there. I was really able to I was able to like really put my taste and my thought process into what this campaign would look like from inception to literally execution. So that was like probably my favorite, and everyone loved it. And I think my second favorite was probably the Block is Hot anniversary. So that was Lil Wayne, the Block is Hot anniversary. Like that was like off a nostalgic tip. Like I wanted to be Wayne back then. Like I was a little fat kid in the city with a bandana around my neck. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I really wanted to be that man, and to be able to actually get the original files from that album and to be able to recreate it and bring it to life. Like, it was crazy, and I really loved that project because that was kind of like that set the tone for me in the office. Like that was the thing where people like they had like these like artists weekly review meetings of things that we were doing with artists and shit that's been coming up. So they showed it on like the big screen in the studio, and I hadn't even had no idea, but I was at my desk and everyone just started coming out like, yo, we just seen what you did. It was like I hit the home run, and my whole team lifted me up above their hit, bro. It was like, it was just great. It was great, and it was good to see like people kind of like respecting me. You know, like the office is like people respect you based off of how hard you work and your talent, and like that shit right there, like that opened the door. That was when people knew who I was, and people started recognizing my work. So I think those two were probably my favorite. And like all the ones that I post, if I post it, I fuck with it. It's funny because it's like I'm feeling like on a general note, 2020 is kind of like the year of the future. Like everyone's using this as like, this is the year that everything's chrome. This is the year that everything is HUDs and everything. But honestly, that was the identity I started with. Like that's kind of
that was already your thing. That was already
yeah. So now I'm at a point where I'm thinking of what's the new future. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, we know holograms, like all that's given. So what's the new future? What's the future 100 years from 2020 or 30 from 2020? So yeah, so everything as far as design style, like I've been really focusing hard on 3D because 3D is like that's just the next step for me.
It is, yeah.
3D, I feel like now is like I'm officially like a lead motion. Now I'm officially a motion designer. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, title
Say
kind
that shit with your full
of
chest. You are a yes.
so now it's like, so now it's like I wouldn't say I'm fully mastered 2D, but I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
super close and super proficient. Like, you know, they say, are you proficient in Excel? Like, I can actually say that I'm proficient. I'm proficient in motion design in 2D. So the next thing to elevate for me, it's like another ceiling of my
Mhm.
output of trying to express myself. 3D is it. Is definitely the next step. And the reason why I'm so in love with 3D is not only because of the magnitude of expression, because now it's literally added another dimension. And now
Yeah.
it's 3 dimensions instead of two. Now you see all
Mhm.
sides.
Mhm.
Um, it's so like it's so like what's the word for it? Like it can be used in so many different ways. So it
Yeah.
can be used for my ad work. It's
Mhm.
used for AR. It's
Yeah.
used for VR. It's used for concept design.
Yeah.
It's used for 3D printing. That's also something that I'm good at. And it just makes sense to be versed in it. So
Mhm.
one thing that I've really been diving into is 3D. I feel like 3D is definitely the wave of 2020. Um, and yeah, like I've honestly literally just been also with the 2D, since
Uh-huh.
2D is timeless, like it's not going anywhere. I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out ways with my work to create 3D depth with 2D. So like it's different ways to use like cameras and perspectives in the software to make 2D text and images pop out. So
Yeah.
like if you look at my work that I did for, oh damn, I keep forgetting, like I guess that's number 4, the project for the weekend. His
Ooh.
project.
Okay.
Um, it was so we were delivered a photo. They
Mhm.
were like, they wanted us to build a social asset to roll out for his release.
Mhm.
And I pretty much made, it's a technique called, I think it's called like 2.5D, 2.5D parallax. So it's not 3D, but it's not 2D, but it's like 2D with the illusion of 3D.
Okay.
So I've been doing a lot of that. I did that with like the Party Next Door in-app concept. I did that slightly with the Drake Dark Lane demo tapes.
I was just looking at that one too. Yeah.
It's like it's like a flat image, but it's like an illusion of depth.
Mhm.
So a lot of my work, I've been pretty much trying to make everything have depth with
Yeah.
some type of illusion of 3D. Um, and even with text, like I did it was like a art exhibit that I was a part of. I actually was featured in the exhibit, and I did like the branding work and the rollout.
Mhm.
And everything was 2D, but it had like 3D depth. Like the text was like coming towards the screen, coming
Yeah.
back. So I think that's definitely the wave of 2020 as well. I would call it 2.5D
Yeah,
in
I was
3D.
like, I was literally like, okay, you're in the middle, but that's still the future, like for you, all
Yeah.
the way full. Yeah, and it makes sense. Like it makes sense for you. Like I'm just like it makes sense for your craft and skills.
So yeah, like I'm just always trying to elevate, always trying to introduce new ideas and think future forward. Um, and one thing that I can touch on that I've been into lately is like, have you ever heard of the metaverse?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so it's a whole like I just linked up with like a group of like elite creatives and designers and entrepreneurs and like that's the talk of the group. Like everyone's is into the yeah, like you should look
Okay,
into it. So
I'm going look. Yeah, I'm
I'm
typing this stuff down.
so I'm gonna try to like explain it as much as I can. It's like I'm tapping into it like on the surface, but so have you been seeing like the virtual concerts with Fortnite and things like
Yeah.
so that's pretty much the first introduction into the metaverse. So
Okay.
the metaverse, and it is another good example. Did you see the movie Ready Player One?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So
Right. So
that's okay.
that is the metaverse. Like that
Okay.
is what
That is.
yeah. So it's pretty much the ability to be peer to peer, like
Mhm.
for all of us to be able to sit on one server and be able to
Okay.
communicate with each other at once in a
Okay.
space. You know?
Makes
So
sense. Yeah, you going from like Fortnite to that. Yep.
yeah, so
Mhm.
right now it's limited. So like if you're playing Fortnite, only like 100 people, even though there's an illusion that that all like a million users are all in the same space, there's pockets of servers.
Mhm.
So it's like 100 people at a time.
Yeah.
So the metaverse is going to be a point where literally a million to the whole our whole society can be in a
Yeah.
virtual. When the metaverse is here, like literally there'll be virtual real estate. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It'll be a lot of like
Yeah.
places
Not just gaming.
Yeah, it's not even just about gaming. It's
Yeah.
literally how we communicate. Just like Ready Player One, like that was like a whole escape into a whole nother
Yeah.
world. So right now I'm pretty much working with 3D. I'm studying like building furniture. There's so much shit I want to do. But one of my goals to be ahead of the metaverse is to start doing virtual architecture, because it's going to be virtual real estate. Like you're going to be able to buy spaces in the virtual world.
Right.
With that, architecture and 3D is like, that's going to be the core for it. So I
Yeah.
want that to be a part of my agency, like literally virtual architecture. I want to build spaces within the virtual economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's a lot. It's kind of hard to explain, but
No, I mean, like, even when you just tie that in, when you just said like real estate, thinking just like on a business aspect, or like even leveling up just for like financial reasoning, it makes sense why you want to do virtual architecture. Like they're gonna need that. So
right.
I'm just like, no, and as soon as you said it, I feel like people watching this too, like you started it with Fortnite and it was like, okay. And then if you have seen Ready Player One, like I immediately, like hearing you talk about it, I was like, okay, I get what you mean.
Exactly.
Nah. It's the future, but I can visualize it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to be ahead of the wave, and definitely, contribute to the building of the metaverse. Yeah, they saying like that's where we're headed. That's the next phase after the internet. Because the internet can't even support it. This is not the internet. This is in addition to the internet.
Yep. The next wave.
That's the next wave, but that's definitely a gem. But I'm grateful to be a part of this group I'm a part of, and they introduced it to me. That's like the future coming up. So and that also segues into, I got a exclusive project you asked for. If you want to wait,
yes, I can.
What you see? Hold up. All right. Oh, so you're only seeing this box here.
Yeah.
This right here is a concept I have for my virtual office. Originally it's like a glass office and just floating in space. So the original intent was to not only practice my 3D skills with building furniture. Like as you can see, like those like little circles on the ground, those are like beanbag pods.
You said space, yeah.
So this is supposed to be my virtual office, and the goal was to optimize it enough so that it can be a AR filter that people can walk into and submit business inquiries. So yeah, it's just a concept. It's kind of tapping into like the metaverse. Like this could be like a architectural office space. You know what I mean? That we sell out in virtual real estate and etc. I'm gonna share this other perspective. Yeah, this is another angle of the office. You can see like I have this floating bench over here with the pad that's similar to the pads that we have. It's like floor seats, and there's like a floating literally the actual working file.
Okay.
All the dimensions of everything that's going on. I have like a basketball hoop. I feel like
I peeped that from the side. I didn't peep the arcade, but I peeped the court kind of.
Like this is like kind of developing my dream space of like my actual real office. Like I would love this shit. Like I would just love like an all glass office like this.
Okay. No, this is top. Like, yo. And what is cool is to see like how you just mentioned like the next thing you're looking into is like art, using the metaverse with architecture. And I feel like going back into AR, going back into like different things you started with using yourself, like your logo, your so to see this too, I'm like, yo, it's dope.
Yeah, it's like still the same thing. It's still my brand colors, still my logo. It's like that's like my like my foundation that I built, and creating reasons. Like that's like you'll never not have a reason to create as long as you got your own brand.
Yes.
You can apply it to the one comes from the bottom, so you can see through the bottom of the glass.
Literally give you the whole like perspective, like it's glass you're looking at.
And this is before I really added like textures to like the desk over there and that platform. It's like a glass platform. So yeah, this is one of my personal projects that I've just been tapping into. that no one's seen yet. I still kind of want to add some more things to it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
we'll see. You'll give us the final,
yeah.
the later version. But I appreciate you showing us. Just even seeing the program is super over my head. What program is that? Like
This
that
is Cinema 4D. This
okay.
is like probably like the top. This is probably top 5 for movies.
Uh-huh.
Uh, just all 3D modeling and design and rendering.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm just constantly learning, constantly trying to like work on my weaknesses. I've
Mm-hmm.
been delving deep. Honestly, I've been delving deep into the business wave now because I feel like I got a good hand on design and my creativity. So now, scaling my business is like that's
Mm-hmm.
like my major goal and my main focus. So I've been studying a lot of business shit so I can have these conversations and really scale my business the right way. Uh,
You got the seat at the creative table, the design table, but now, yep, you're getting ready for the
No,
next.
it's the next phase. It's definitely the next phase, and I'm excited. It gives me. It's like they say like your goals. If your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough.
Yes.
I got some scary ass goals. Maybe causing crazy anxiety, but I'll be fighting through it. Like well,
I was gonna say that. Yes, push through it.
as long as I'm making progress and and building onto my knowledge, I feel better about it. So yeah.
Yeah. No, you gonna be boy. I'm like you gonna be good. Like deep down, you're good. But I think
Everybody say the same shit.
But I was
Everybody
gonna
like,
say, because while I'm saying that, I'm like, I deal with anxiety. People can tell you that, but until like you feel it. But I feel like what comes with it and with you, you have the discipline to like, even if you don't feel like you're ready, you have the discipline to get ready. And that's
yeah.
why I'm like, you're gonna be
Yeah, I
good.
get you. It's like being aware is step one. So
Mhm.
it's like that's the one thing I am blessed about is like I'm aware, I know what I want. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it just gets scary, man. It's like,
Mhm.
and once again, it taps back into the origin. It's like
Mhm.
I have no blueprint. I have no
Right.
OGs.
Right.
I definitely picked up a mentor or two in a way, but
Mhm.
I have nobody that's directly doing what I'm doing that I
Mhm.
can look to and ask questions. Also, I do have like business mentors, but as far as this creative shit, like, nah, this is,
No, there's no one doing what Ceej is doing and where you're
yeah,
headed.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know.
pray for me, man. I still fight my demons.
Yes, I will do that. And like again,